G'day folks, Ren here, and it is time for the mid-year book freakout tag. The mid-year book freakout tag, I will leave the creators of the tag down below, but I know that this tag was created by Ellie and Chami. Let's just get into it. So the first 6 months of the year have been really awesome for me in terms of booktube. I have been really loving the content I've been creating. I've been loving making more friends and strengthening the friendships that I had already made. And the book community has just been really nice to me so far, so thank you to everyone. But in total, the books I have read so far in 2023 is 128 books. It sounds like a lot, but I will preface this by saying at least a third of that is manga. Let's get into the tag, shall we? I think I've waffled enough. So the first question is, what is the best book you've read so far in 2023? So the second one is House of Hollow by Crystal Sutherland. I loved this book. This is very much what I want in a book. It has that hauntingly beautiful writing style. It's like kind of creepy. It's got the decaying forest, which I love. It's got a bisexual main character. It's filled with like a good type of mystery. Not like the mystery of a mystery novel, but the mystery of like a creepy, what is going on type situation. The decaying forest. Did I mention the decaying forest? But then my absolute number one, if this isn't my favorite book of the year, I'll be astonished. And that is What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. Oh my gosh, this is everything I could ever want in a book. Like, the perfect book for me is this. It is hauntingly beautiful, which is what I just want from everything. But this is that. And it's got the real creepy factor. It's got this like gothic haunting vibe. It has a non-binary main character. It's got creepy animals doing creepy things. It's got creepy people doing creepy things. It's just, oh, it was so good. And this is one of the first books I've ever written in. I didn't really write anything, but I was underlining things. And that's the first time I've ever done that, because I'm just like, this whole book. Like, I'm at a loss for words because this book is so good. So the second question is, what is the best sequel you have read so far in 2023? I haven't been reading too many sequels, and if I have, they've been manga, but To Tame a Wicked Widow by Nicola Davidson, which is the second in the Surrey Sexual Freedom Society series. I always need to think about that. But this is a historical romance series. This one follows a widow who is being forced to marry, but she doesn't really want to marry just for the sake of it. She wants to marry for love this time. And she meets her late husband's cousin, who is like a bit younger than her, and he's a virgin, and she's like, well, I can teach you what you need to know for, you know, when you get married. Turns out they fall for each other, and it was great. There's a little bit of dom sub going on, and it's great, and I loved the chemistry between our two characters. Just how they like played off each other, it was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it, more so than I enjoyed the first one, surprisingly, because the first one was gay. So question number 3 is a new release you haven't read yet but want to. So many. So I'm going to talk about 3 that I am particularly keen on. So the first is The Pledge by Cale Dietrich. This is a YA horror thriller book, and it's queer. The frat is deadly. I do just love this cover, and I have really liked Cale Dietrich's books in the past, and this one is like a horror, and I think someone is killing people in a fraternity, which, you know, fair. Next up is one I just randomly found at the bookstore the other day, so I bought it. And that is Arthur and Teddy Are Coming Out by Ryan Love. This sounds adorable. It is a queer book, and it is about Arthur, this older gentleman, coming out to his family and things not going super well. But turns out that his grandson, Teddy, is also gay, isn't out to the family, and I think they're just kind of like supporting each other through this coming out process. It just sounds so sweet and wholesome. And then the last one that I am just, I want to read it so badly, but I'm not going to read it before I go to New Zealand because I don't want to traumatize myself. And that is Drowning by TJ Newman. Can you tell why I wouldn't want to read this before I go on a trip? So I read Falling by TJ Newman last year, loved it. I thought it was so good. But this is about a plane crashing in the ocean and the people on board trying to survive and not run out of oxygen. And the thing I really loved about Falling was that everything was so realistic. TJ Newman was a flight attendant, so, you know, they have this knowledge and it shows through in the book, and it was so good. So I'm anticipating very good things from Drowning as well. And I'm so excited, but I am not reading this before I get on a plane. No way. So question number 4 is, what is your most anticipated read for the second half of 2023? Now, I'm not really up to date on new releases. I don't know what's coming out when, but I mainly found all of the books that I want to read from Chelsea Zhao's July, August and September new releases video, which I will link down below. Go check it out. There are some amazing books coming out soon. So I'm not going to go into detail about what any of these are about because I don't super know. But obviously the first one is going to be Heartstopper Volume 5 because Heartstopper. Then there's The Last Girl Standing, Night of the Living Queers, The Death I Gave Him, and The Other Woods. So I'm really excited for all of those. Go watch Chelsea's video. She'll talk about what all of these are about and they all sound really good. Pretty sure most of them are queer too. Okay, number 5 is, what is your biggest disappointment of the year? So I'm pretty sure most people know what my absolute number 1 biggest disappointment was, is Horror Hotel. It sucked. It sucked so bad. I will leave my video down below where I talked about having my favorite trope be my worst book, because I go a bit more in depth into how much this book sucks. But oh my gosh, like look at the cover. Doesn't the cover look amazing? And it's about paranormal investigating. I love paranormal investigating. It's my everything. But this book was awful. These characters are idiots. All they cared about was making out with each other, or who liked who, or YouTube subscribers, or making sure they were the first ones to solve a murder. It was so bad, and also super disrespectful to Elisa Lam and her family. So number 6 is, what is the biggest surprise of the year? So the first one is Sync Volume 1. This is on my top 10 over the year. It was great. It is a comic about this little town in Glasgow where people are a little unhinged. It's basically where a lot of murderers are housed. But it was really great. The entire comic was written in a Glaswegian accent, which was awesome, and it really put you into the world. It was super bloody. It's a horror comic. Super bloody. And it's kind of, was it 5 kind of stories within this town? So we have a vigilante that wears a fox mask and kills people with a shovel. There are killer clowns that turn people into clowns. There was a bunch of kids that wanted revenge. And then there is my favorite character, Florence, who was like the crime boss back in the day. And then she left town, and when she left town, she actually transitioned. But then she has to go back because one of her friends has gone missing, and she goes back. She's like looking her best. She's gone all out. She walks into this pub that like she used to lord over, and a bunch of people in the bar are being really, really transphobic and saying things and being awful. And she goes up to them and she's like, you know, what did you just say? And then they realize who she is and they're like, oh my gosh, so sorry. And then she's like, nah, I'm not taking that. And she obliterates everyone in that pub. Oh my god, everything is red from all the blood. And then she's like, you call that a fight? I didn't even have to take off my heels. And I was like, yes. But it was amazing, and it was a surprise because I hadn't heard of this, and I just randomly picked it up at the library. And I was like, oh yeah, sure, I'll give it a go. And it's amazing. And then the next surprise is Stay Gold, because I didn't plan to ever read this, really. I thought it wasn't gonna be my thing, even though it's queer and it's about a trans guy. But I read it because I needed to fulfill a prompt for Aurelium, and I needed a metal in the title. Oh my gosh, I loved this. Like, I was connecting with the character, and even though the story was a bit cliche, because like cliche in that YA contemporary way, misunderstood guy and the cheerleader who doesn't want to be a cheerleader, but like she has to be a cheerleader, and they fall for each other, but they're from 2 different parts of the school system, so they can't be together, and that kind of stuff, you know? So like, I wasn't super keen on that, but I loved the main character and how real everything he went through was. I didn't think it was gonna be as serious as it was. because this was kind of like a cheesy book. Oh my god, this kid ends up in the hospital and like severe. What was done to him was severe, and I was like, oh my god, it was rough. But also like so accurate, because this happens to trans people. They have this happen to them all the time. Unfortunately, it's realistic. It's awful, but it's realistic. I didn't expect to love it as much as I did. Question 7 is, what is your new favorite author, whether that be a debut author or just someone you haven't read from before? Definitely going with T. Kingfisher. I'd never read anything by T. Kingfisher before, and now I want to so badly. I want to read everything. Also, Alistair Hodge. I recently read The Cavern by them. It was really good. It was a really good horror. It was an Australian horror, which was awesome. And I'm really intrigued to read more of Alistair Hodge's work. So question 8 is, what is your newest fictional crush? I don't super have one. But like, I will say, there are 2 people that are just really pretty. And that is Sebastian and Mayrin from Black Butler. Like, Sebastian is just the prettiest of the prettiest. Like, we all know this. But Mayrin, every time she like takes off her glasses, she looks completely different and is just like such a badass. And like, badass women, love them. They're pretty. That's about the most I can come up with. I was trying really hard to think if I had a fictional crush, but I'm like, I don't. Number 9 is your newest favorite character. So for this, I'm gonna go with Alex Easton from What Moves the Dead. And Alex is our main character. They're non-binary. They're a warrior. They're very strong and steadfast, but so caring to those around them. Oh, they love their horse, Hob. And they have a great sense of humor, and it was just, oh, I loved Alex, and I'm so glad that in the sequel, Alex is still like our main character, and I'm like, give me all of the Alex Easton books, because like, I'll read them. So number 10 is a book that made you cry. Now, I haven't actually cried over a book this year. Like, I've come close, like Stay Gold, I came close, but I'm going to talk about 2 other books that I came close with crying. The first up is A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. I actually read this last night. I thought I would be devastated because everyone said that I would be, but I got watery eyes. But that's it. Nothing fell from the eyes. In a weird roundabout way, if I hadn't lost my sister in almost the exact way that was described here, I would have been more upset. Which sounds weird, but sometimes when I think about my sister and how she passed, I am just devoid of emotion. Probably for like a self-protection thing, but like, this was sad, and I understand why everyone cries a lot with it. Like, yeah, if you were a normal human with emotions, yeah, makes sense. Next up is The Consumption of Magic by TJ Klune. This is the 3rd in the Tales of Verania series. Again, I got close because there was a character death of a character that I really loved. I got watery eyes. It was very sad, and Sam makes a decision. I didn't want him to make that decision. There were emotions. Number 11 is a book that made you happy. The absolute number 1 book that has made me super happy is Ex-Yakuza and Stray Kitten, which is a manga series. I've only read the first volume, but this is very much what it sounds like. It is this guy who used to be in the Yakuza, and he finds a stray kitten on the side of the road one day, and he decides to take it home, and you get the perspective from the kitten as well, and the kitten's just like, oh my god, he's gonna eat me, he's gonna skin me, look at his face, he's so scary, what is he gonna do? And the guy's like, here's a warm blanket, here's some milk. And the kitten's like, did he poison it? Is he lulling me to sleep so that he can murder me when I'm asleep? And it's just, it's so funny. Their dynamic is adorable because the kitten is just so like suspicious of this guy. And it's so sweet. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. Cat manga has become my everything. So question number 12 is, what is the most beautiful book you have bought or received in 2023? In the Lives of Puppets by TJ Klune. This is the Waterstones exclusive edition because there are some pretty sprayed edges. So good. TJ Klune is obviously my favorite author ever, and like, oh, so cute. I'm currently reading this. I am 75 pages into this and I'm having a good time. It just, ooh, it's so pretty and it's fascinating and amazing and I love it. And ooh, sprayed edges, they're so pretty. So number 13 is, what are some books that you need to read by the end of the year? Clanland's Almanac, Seasonal Stories from Scotland by Sam Hewen and Graham McTavish. I love these two. They're amazing. So they're two actors and they are both Scottish. This is the second book they've written together. The first one was just called Clanlands and I loved it. You know, they talked about like history and like their stories within Scotland and it was so interesting. So I definitely wanted to pick up the second one. We have Alice by Christina Henry. This I have started and I just put it down once and I couldn't pick it back up, but I was really enjoying this. I got to page 62. It's a horror retelling of Alice in Wonderland and it was really interesting and I do want to know like what happens, but I think I just needed to be like in the right frame of mind for it, so I really want to get to this by the end of the year. And then lastly, one of my most hyped books, which is Unsolved Supernatural, 101 Tales of Hauntings, Demons and the Paranormal by Ryan Bergara and Shane Madej. BuzzFeed Unsolved is my everything, and Watcher, which is what Shane and Ryan are doing now, which is their own company, that is also my everything. I love these two. If you haven't seen BuzzFeed Unsolved, go watch it, then go watch all of their videos on Watcher. It's amazing. I love their ghost hunting shows and this goes through all of the places, well I don't know if it's all of the places, but it goes through some of the places that they have gone and talks about their experiences there as well as the history, and you get a lot of almost like interview style things. So I desperately need to read this because I love these guys. So number 14 is creators that I've been loving lately. So many of them. I'm just going to name them. I'm going to leave all of their links down below. Go watch all of them. They're all fantastic people. So we have Sasha, Meredith, Kirsty, Paige, Liv, Gemma, Chelsea, Nicky, Neva, Kate, Steph, Gabby, Katie, Gavin. All the people I have been absolutely obsessed with this year and they're all fantastic creators. They all do their own things. They're lovely and amazing. So that was my mid-year book freakout tag. Let me know down below if you've read any of the books that I've talked about, what were your thoughts on them, and if you have any more like hauntingly beautiful recommendations, let me know because I want to know, and also some catmonger. But thank you so much for watching and I will see you in my next one. Bye!